Hello everybody, how good of you to join. Welcome back to Dyson Sphere as a new day is dawning on our beautiful planet, where we want to continue now with some further production. So as I spoke in the last episode, I want to specialize. So we are going to see quite a lot of specialization now. And for the first specialization, we have now already built actually a few things. We have our specialization for the prisms, we have them for our copper ingots, we also have them for the iron ingots, but well, for the iron ingots we might still need get rid of the magnets, because the magnets we will also have our own specialization over here. The only problem that we have with that is, well, first space, and the other problem is energy. So energy was a problem all along that we might want to fix now as well, since we have also opened up the next coal veins here that we have right next to it. They're a bit in the way, I gotta say that. So they're a bit there in the middle, and not in the slightest blocking my other productions here. So we need to kind of like build around that. This one here is going to be our next production, which is going to be the gear. The gear needs the iron ingots and it needs the magnets. So I have two options now. Either I create the iron ingots here too and the gear then as the final product of this specialization, or I continue making here iron ingots only as well, the same thing with up here, and then have my own gear factory somewhere else again, which would make the whole thing scalable. So I rather prefer this method, to be honest. We are making only iron ingots here, and those iron ingots we transport then to where we need them, right? In that case here, let's start right away. There's nothing else that we actually need to do here. We only need to get our smelters up. So let's just have my bloop. Where do we have them? There we have them. There we have a few smelters, and we already have the iron ore right next to it. So let's just build a few of them. Once again, I'm going here with two belts, because two belts are much easier to just transport all the materials then into one direction. I think we might actually go for quite a lot of them, right? I could also just have them on the other side then as well. So this is my idea of the two belt system that we have there. There we go with the next one, and we are getting very close here to the iron ingots, so that's fine though, because we can still, you know, continue down here then as well with even more of that. The iron ingots will still need to store somewhere then as well. This might be, yeah, another one. As we can see, we got a lot of storages up there now. There is one, then here we have two storages, and I will just have to keep in mind where I put the storages. Now, there we go with the next one. I think, do we have the level 2 sorters still working for us? I think we do need quite a few more of them. I've got 14 at the moment. I might just increase that to a few more. And the only thing we still also need here will be then a bit more energy. I need so many buildings. It's incredible. We do need more copper ore. Wait a second. I should have everything for that actually. Magnets. For the magnets. Oh, I don't have enough iron ore. I see. We also need some raw iron ore then as well for some of these things. Let's just place the next one. Wait a second. First, let's have the orders here. Righto. Since we do have so many iron ore deposits here, I would like to have a more or less centralized storage for all the iron bars. So we're getting a lot of iron bars over the course of the game that we then distribute to the factories where we need them, right? The factories will be rather close to it, but still it is so that I keep a track of how much we actually need. I think this is much better than what else. And from there we can also have a big main bus if we need to, going out into other parts of the planet. And I would like to start with that right here. So somewhere there, close to the lake, where then all the iron plates will flow over. What we still want to do here as well is another storage. Oh, I'm still building the coils there as well. So we're doing a lot of foundation work here still, right? Once all of that is working, I hope that we can advance to next era and stages then much more quickly. Let's get with the next storage there. While we wait on that, let's continue researching. We can still research a few things. This one here, so this gives us the microcrystalline component on one part. I think there's still something that only needs blue. This only needs red, that's hydrogen then. So with hydrogen we can go then into space. And here we still have the chemical engineering, so this gives me the chemical plant and the plastic that we're also going to need, right? Let's also queue this one up, since we do have the matrices stored anyway. This is that. And as we can see, my belts are ready and my storages have been built. Very good, the ore is flowing. I just love the ore flowing. I could watch this all day. And now all we need to do is placing the sorters here as well. and place or put the iron bar or iron ingot into the queue here. Right, and thus the iron ingots are now flowing then also into our centralized storage. And from there it's being then distributed to other factories on the planet. And this one too. I hope that 3 iron mines will be enough. Right, so 3 veins. We have one here, one over there, and one that we already use. Very good. Semiconductor material has also been researched now, so the basic for processors to achieve high-speed computing functions. To make it require carving a processing city-like 3-dimensional nanostructure on high-purity silicon wafers that we can then use for electronic systems. Alrighty, the first one is working now, so there we get the iron bars over here. I just need to redesign this area here now to do the same thing. So the first thing we're doing is, well, basically we're just going to get rid of everything that we have here to redesign it now to the scalable, bigger architecture that we want for the future. So I'm just going to get rid of all of these belts here once again, and transmitter. Basically we don't need that transmitter anyway. Alrighty, for the next mines, we can actually start here with the next smelters that we have then right next to here. That is then also getting transported. We can also have the belts there as bridge over the water, so we don't need to have anything for that. We also now have though the foundation, right? So we can use the foundation as part of the environmental modification. So we can place these foundations here on the water tiles and could also build something on it. And well, yeah, there is the iron ore now coming. And there we have then the belt that delivers the iron ingots then. And whoops, we do need a bit more energy once again. So I think, first of all, we do have a solar panel that we have thanks to the researching. And we just should get some coal again to power our mech. Real quick, I think we can have up to 4 slots full of it. Very good. After quite a few minutes that we finally finished this conveyor belt that is going to that side there, right? The only thing we now need is some more of these sorters so that we can also have that. And yeah, we do have then a centralized storage area for the iron bars where we can then start with the other factories. We still have another iron vein that we can use, and whenever we have something somewhere, another iron vein, we know where it needs to go. And this also needs to go then away here, right? We have the copper here, so we can use then here the factory or the space for factories that require copper ingots themselves only. Let's start next up. We have now the centralized storage here for our next productions, right? And from here, I'm now having the first conveyor belt. We probably will have a few of them coming out here for the iron bars. So this is just iron bars that are coming out here then. And all the way to that side. Right, because I want to focus my factory in general down here anyway. And there we already have the steel. So the steel is finished. The only thing that we need now here, the steel has its own iron veins there, by the way, so that's that. And here we can now have a splitter then, because we do need 2 factories there. The first one, the first type of factory is the magnet. Oh, wait a second, not the magnet, it's the magnetic coil. And the other one is the gear, right? The gear only needs the iron plates. So that is something we can have here now, our first factory. And the cool thing about this one is we can then scale it with the factories here, right? Because we have the space. Now I just need to think about something. What was it that was actually building that? And here our magnet production is coming up now. So we have the 4 main smelters there. This is scalable then to the side. So I would like to add a few more here then that we can do. And we can also, you know, build it then more to the lower end there, where we have, I think, more copper, which is coming up there. Very good. So the splitters are splitting it, then the iron ore coming out here once again. And those smelters are going to then deliver the magnets onto this belt here. And they're going to take, of course, the iron ore from this belt here. Righto, that is that. Let's also have the sorter already here. And basic chemical engineering we've also unlocked now, and that is the plastic that we're going to need then most likely at some point. Let's add the magnets. Very good. Magnets on track. And yeah, we still need now a storage for the magnets. And that is something I will do a bit further down here, because space we have plenty here anyway. So as we can see now, the magnets are coming up here and the gear is coming up here. right? And then we can continue processing from then on. So there we have the next storage then. We need to be careful here though. Let's have it a bit more down here. So I can still add one more smelter if I want to. And then of course here needs to be the belt then where all the other magnets are coming then into the storage as well. And let's just have only the magnets now going down here into that storage. And of course we also will need, once again, a transmitter. Another cool thing is that happens right now for the magnetic coil mass production. Now we actually just need copper ore, and we do have copper ore right next to it. So it might be a good idea, instead of getting it from over there where we already have the copper ingots, but we might need them for something else, to just use those guys here, right? I mean, it is copper, is it? It is copper, very good. Yeah, they're copper vein. So that we can do it here, and then we have our factories for the coil here. And as the sun is coming up, we have our next automation completed for the copper ingots ×2. So the second copper ingot main hub that we have now, right? So we have two of them together. There's the magnets. So we now have the magnets and the copper ingots, and we can actually now start with mass producing the magnetic coil that we have there. I just need to find a good location. I think we might make it here beside the ocean. And over here we have then the gear, right? So those two things are then together here, which makes sense to me because these are rather important goods and we have them rather close together then. So let's start with the next factories. I think with this one we will need then not the smelter anymore, but the assembler, right? So the assembler will assemble us then the magnetic coil. There it is, right? And it also is needed for the gear. So this is good to know that we might actually need to build a few of them coming up there. For this new, facility, actually, wait a second. Here we need to be careful though, right? To not use all the space because we might need then the space here for the magnetics. So I should be careful about this, but I would still like to have my factory over here for the magnetic coil. It's the perfect space for it, and we have it. Let's do this. First of all, let's get a transmitter over there, and I think we'll need a few more transmitters then on the way as well. Lucky us, we have lots of materials in the inventory to build that whole thing. For that we will also need another storage. I think we have 2 storages, that's fine actually. We only need a lot of sorters. Those guys. There we have now the magnets coming out. It takes a bit of time there, unfortunately, for my drones to build it. And sometimes they forget a little spot there. And I have to go to these belts there as well. So for a lot of belts, I think future upgrades might be pretty useful there. Right, so there we have the magnets, there we have the copper ingots coming out, and then we just need the assemblers next to it. We should also be careful that we might make it a bit scalable. So, or we just have a huge line here, basically, that goes all the way here, but I would still like to scale it a bit at least. So what I would like to do here is, we do need a splitter. Right, we just built the splitters now. There we have the ones for the magnets, and there we have the ones then for the copper ingots. Even though the copper ingots, that's a good thing about them, is they are pretty close to the storage. Actually, I don't need it for the copper ingots because I can just have a second belt here then also coming out. Right, but for the magnets, I will need it. Righto, and this is our first line. And the only thing we now need is assemblers. There we have them. I will build them here. The reason for that is we can then have the output belt here. And here we can then have the next assemblers right in line, right, that have the output belt there as well for these advanced products. And the advanced product is coming then into this direction, because don't forget, we want to have our base or future productions more in this area there. So I'm going to put it more down there. That's that. Let's just see. There we have the splitter. We can actually connect it already. This belt, these belts are just continuing now. Looking good. As you can see, In that case, it takes a bit of time, and then we need a lot of these sorters, so I can already see that we will need to produce a lot more of them. And yes, automating these sorters might be a very good idea for the future, because we need just so many of them. Righto, there's the output. And here we actually have 2 inputs. Not you, but you. Ah, actually, we had enough. Very good. Output is ready. We just need a sorter then here from the storage outbound. Right, as we can see, the iron ingots are now flowing. The only thing that's not flowing yet is over here, our magnets. There it is. And now the magnets are flowing to our assemblers. The only thing that's missing now is, as always, electricity. And there we can actually take all of them into account. This will probably tank my electricity consumption there, or well, tank my supply of electricity there once again. Let's also choose the good here, so the magnetic coil. And it's now producing. Beautiful. There it's coming out. We'll just see how much we really need of that. Plus also, once we can upgrade the belts, you know, we have even more output then into a certain direction. Now here, this one is going then into its own storage facility somewhere, probably here, because there we are rather close to all the other outputs then. And I would like to see a bridge. There we can have it safely. Right, so we're going to have a few of them in this direction. It's all going then into the storage there. And here, let's just see how we can actually go over that. I think, yeah, like this. And then we're going down again. Right to the storage facility. And thus, the magnetic coil is coming in as well. And after a bit of time, we also have our gear system up and running. So the only thing that's missing now is the output. So the output is then going from the assemblers into our output belt, which is this one here. And there we have it. And the output now from the storage, which is here. And there's now the iron ingots coming out, being split up, and then going to our assembling machines. Now this is something we can upgrade then as well with higher tech, of course. So we can then, you know, of course we can't have now one conveyor belt here for a couple of these rows. So the way here is to wait for the conveyor belt upgrade, and once we have that, we can then support more goods for another row. And as we can see, there we also have the gear now coming out. We can have 1, 2, 3 more rows here, most likely. So that's a lot of gear that we can make. There's also a lot of iron ingots coming in, right? So we still have, of course, a lot of ingots now left over that we can use for something else. We have the path and the space for that. Here, the gear is coming out. So we might just now, down here, have then the storage for the gear. Let's place another storage area. Yeah, here, for future gear that is coming out there, which is going to be quite a lot, I guess. And there we have that. And of course, input times 2. Let's also have the power then right next to it. Perfect. There we have all these basics now set up. We have a full, or 2 actually fully functional copper ingot productions up and running. We have the coil now working. We have the gear now working, and we have iron ingots fully working. Perfect. Really happy about this. So from now on, we can use then main belts going from these storage facilities to our other factories. And one of them, well, would be quite early now the circuit board. For that, we do need the copper ingots and the iron ingots. And that is rather easy. So we just use what we already have now for additional productions. And of course, the coolest thing is when we just want to fly around then our base there and have a look over everything. Those are now working. And it's so quick. We can be so quick on other locations then. There we have our stone and prison production now running. There we have our energy production facilities, our copper ore, our gear, steel production is working. We have our steel thing here. I just want to make sure that for the steel, let's just check. First of all, it should be full. It is full. And there's nothing in, though. Nothing incoming. So what is going on here? First of all, we still have these relics of past productions, right? So we might just get rid of them now. Cleaning all of that up. This one we also don't need anymore, because for circuits, and I'm pretty sure, like in Factorio, we're going to need a lot of these green boards. I might have my own facility productions then. Just place all of them here and clean it up. Perfect. There we have our first assemblers, scalable down here to the south if we want to. And the only thing we now need to do is choose the circuit board. And I'm hoping that everything is working accordingly, and it is. And thus our first circuits are leaving the factory, and we have thus another mass production up and running now. So another foundation has been set, looking perfect. Now we can use all of that to mass produce the matrices to have a better research overall, an automated research.